Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's about 3 o'clock on Friday, the 2nd of July, and the non-farm payroll report has come and gone, and the US generated 850,000 new jobs, which was well above consensus. And as you can see, that's caused the S&P to open up, and it's up 13 points. The Dow is up a few ticks. The Nasdaq is up 62 points. However, the breadth of the market has in fact gone backwards since yesterday. The buy-sell ratio yesterday finished up at 1.43. In other words, 1.43 more companies on a buy recommendation than a sell recommendation. And that slipped a little bit this morning, and that's caused the traffic light on VectorVest to become a little cautious. So everything on VectorVest is up. Short-term trend is up, the underlying trend is up, and the longest term measure of the trend's been up for about 6 weeks now. That's a confirmed up. So if we look under the hood a little bit, I think the big news is Tesla. Tesla's been going sideways for a few days now, and looks as if it can break relatively soon. And I'd be on the conservative side. I'm reasonably pleased with all of these, but let's just have a look at Tesla's worth a look. Growth generation off a bit today, but it's come a long way. So if I chart those a little bit, there's Tesla, and maybe the MACD not necessary to start with, so we can see it. That's the market moving up, and it went right up here. And was rejected up there, so I felt that if it gets above 700 it's going to move strongly, and that's my entry point, was down here, just here. My stop's already at entry, and I'm going to add to that position again. I've got half the position remaining. If it breaks above the 700 level, then I'm going to add to that position again. The high so far today was 700 on the nose, so a little bit above that. I'm going to add to that position with a stop loss underneath that low. So let's see if it can do that in the rest of the trading day. Zoom is going well today. I had it open and I've closed it. Let's try again. That's where we were. 3-month chart, and that's Zoom has been going great. That was based on a weekly chart off those lows, and that's going very nicely indeed. And that's growth generation. This pattern is a pattern that I named years ago a pop gun. It's an inside bar followed by an outside bar, and if it breaks that high, it should go very strongly indeed. So I'm very positive about growth generation. Sell off this morning maybe surprised me a little bit, but it needs to get above those highs. So I'm holding those. I've been looking at quite a few others, but if those perform, it'll be a very good July for me. So let's just have a look at gold, and the gold market is doing its best to hold this level. I talked about this level the other day at about 1757. It still hasn't made a rising bottom, and if it in fact pulls back and charts a rising bottom there, then I would be much happier. There's still a 78% retracement down here at 1722, 1727 of that order, and I would be surprised if it didn't get down to that over the next day or two. So maybe a little, if it charted a rising bottom here, as you can see, this previous low is a falling bottom, but if it charted a rising bottom, then that would be quite positive. So if you're not in gold stocks, don't do anything until you see some form of confirmation via a rising bottom here. If you are holding gold stocks, then it's starting to look more promising, and I know many people have been adding on weakness here. That's not my game plan. My game plan is if the positions go my way, I add, and if the position's not going my way, I lighten. It is my belief that as soon as we press the button and we get into a position, then we're no longer analysts, we're actually risk managers. And if the position's not going my way, then even if it's above the stop loss, I will consider lightening that position and then add back into it again when it starts to move my way. So at the moment I'm still holding positions in Polymetal and Pan-African Resources. If I saw some confirmation of a low here, then I would certainly be tempted to add to those positions considerably and maybe have a third gold stock. Okay, so nothing to do there for me anyway. Go to the UK market now. Well, we've had a cracking couple of days, and Lion Trust has shot the lights out, and exceptionally good numbers from JD Sports, plus a rearrangement of the top directors that pleased the investment community. Split role. There's a article online about it today. Cranswick's back above £40 again, which is a good sign. Games Workshop is doing its best to push up. It pulled back. It's going to take a while to get through those highs. They don't get through highs easily, folks. As soon as they get up there, the chap who bought at the high, in fact, uses that level to bail out again. Halma, I'm pleased with. CCC, I'm pleased with. KNOS, in fact, it deserves attention because we sweated in that for a day or two, if you remember, and it came up quite a bit, clearly. On that bad day, there was a bit of profit taking off these lows, but I think we're out of trouble there, and that's a very positive pattern. As you can see, resistance came back once, which is also the 78, goes up, then comes down, run the stops, and starts to motor the other way. That is not the best example of a Wyckoff spring, but nevertheless it is a Wyckoff spring. So reasonably happy with that. Now, I've been in Bellway for a very long time, and I'm well up on Bellway. It's pulled back a little bit, but I'm not particularly concerned about that. Persimmons I bought into much later. Now, the numbers in Persimmons are exceptionally good on VectorVest. It's undervalued. The relative value, which is our best prediction of the share price growth in relation to a bond, is at 1.3 on a scale between 0 and 2, which means that we believe the share will outperform what a bond will pay. AAA rated corporate bond will pay by 30%. The relative safety is 1.45, and that's saying that this company's got a safe track record of making money. The short-term trend is flat, and when we put those together, it's got a reasonable VST, which is this unique VectorVest combination of fundamental analysis and technical analysis, and the long-term trend is 1.38. It's on a hold recommendation at the moment, but I really like the chart. Now, I have a holding in this, but this is the holding here. I bought into it about here. And it was going great guns, and I managed to take a 5% dividend off it as well, which was nice. But I really like this pattern now. Again, it's a Wyckoff pattern. I'm sure many of you are sick listening to Wyckoff, but the Wyckoff stuff has stood me in exceptionally good stead over the years. There's resistance. This resistance breaks, it comes back and kisses and has another go, and then it pulls back and it runs these stops and runs these stops, folks, and now it would seem to be moving up again. If we put on a trend line, you can make a fairly good long-term trend line under these lows, and just have a go at that yourself. I haven't got time to do it properly, but it seems to me to clip this tail reasonably easily. Now, when I put on the MACD, that's when I really get excited, because if I maybe give us a bit more screen here, as you can see, MACD is just about to cross up, but that in itself is not much of a signal. But if we look at between this low and that low, as you can see, the price is making a rising bottom, but the MACD is making a falling bottom, and that's what's called reverse divergence or a slingshot. And in fact, if we go back to here, we see an even longer period. If we go back to there, we can see a divergence that's lasted from last December right to July. Now that's a 6-month divergence on the MACD, and that's quite a useful signal. Does it predict the future? Of course it doesn't, but it predicts a high probability, fairly fast move. So I think that we're going to see some fireworks out of Persimmons, and I'm very happy with my holding. I could be tempted to actually add to that. I don't like to add to them unless they're in profit, so I won't do anything. But if you've got Persimmons, I think that you're going to be very happy with it soon. And if you haven't got Persimmons, then maybe you can think about it. So that looks as if it's going to go the right way relatively quickly. Some of the other shares have given up a little bit, and somebody emailed me in a panic this morning at Sylvania Platinum had broken the 120 level. So let's just have a look at it. And needs to be watched for sure, but sure as shooting, it's going to go run. It's going to blip down and run those stops. Let's look at that. I don't think there's that much to panic about here yet. Again, do we see any reverse divergence? A little bit, but nevertheless, if you're in it, I'm holding mine certainly. If you're not in it, then maybe wait for it to break up through this inside pattern. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Has to be watched, folks. That's for sure. Let's see where the vector stop loss is relatively close. So certainly it could break down and give us a sell signal there relatively quickly. I think that there's a good chance that it will come down and run these lows before this is over. So it needs to be watched. I bought into that at 47 pence. It's at 120, and I've added to it at least once along the way. So I'm still happy, and I'm still holding mine. Pan-African Resources I'm still holding, and Italia Mining I think will do fine with the copper price. BlackRock World Minerals, I've got it on this commodity chart, seems to be coming back to the party, and I've in fact in another portfolio I added to that during the course of the week. You can also see this reverse divergence pattern on this one. If we have a look here, we can see that this is moving up quite nicely. I know some of the VectorVest people managed to buy it right at those lows. I managed to get into it at about 6:05, somewhere in here. I think it was Tuesday afternoon or something. That's starting to move quite nicely. MACD is crossed. We've got that reverse divergence. With any luck, this is going to move quite quickly. We shall see. Folks, let's go back to the American market. And the American market, the VectorVest advice is still to be cautious. This market's come a long way. The breadth of the market has softened considerably since last night, but the trend is still up. If we have a look at this is a 4-hour chart of the overnight market, and that's the last pullback. And as you can see, my fib target for that pullback is 4344, so probably a little bit more this afternoon. Just remember, this is a long weekend in the US. The American markets will be closed on Monday, and I would have thought our market will be deadly quiet on Monday as well. So maybe a good idea just to avoid big purchases until about next Tuesday. And I'll be doing another one of these next Tuesday, and of course I'll be doing the VectorVest Q&A session on Monday afternoon. That's Monday the 5th, I think. Yeah, Monday the 5th of July, 1:30. If you're a VectorVest member, you should get a link to that. If you're not and you would like to join, then give me a shout, david.paul@vectives.com, and I'll send you a link. I hope that helped in a small way. Looking forward to hopefully a big move in Tesla this afternoon. Let's see. Still hasn't broken that level. And well off that level. So nothing to do for the moment. Thanks very much. Bye bye.